Hello, one and
My
all.
chair's. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You got in the zone. My chair's going to be squeaking.
Okay.
Do you want me to record my own audio as well, so you have a backup? First of all.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Second of all, if you do need any audio treatment for me to get rid of the squeaking in my chair,
I can barely hear
let
it.
me know.
So
I can do that. Okay. Cool. Sorry. All right.
This is part of the intro now. It's fine. We're in the intro.
Locked in.
Again. Ready? All right. If you interrupt me, I can feel it. Hello, one and all. Welcome to Creative Spark. Don't do that. You did that in the last XP to level 3 video. It was terrifying. My YouTube show where I talk to cool people about the cool things that they do. With me today is not only an excellent YouTuber in their own right, but also the powerhouse editor behind some of your favorite YouTubers, Skyler from ADHDM. I got that right.
You wanted to put the second D in there, didn't you?
I did.
That is something I never anticipated, and everyone is like, the ADHDM, even Gabriel, who I've known for quite a while at this point, the Ugly Goblin, will if I pop up in a chat, he's like, the ADHDM, and then a couple minutes he'll be like, I said it again, didn't I? So one day.
It's you and Bob Worldbuilder, who my brain wants to put the in.
Bob the World Builder?
Yeah.
Because Bob the Builder, he's definitely, he also did that to himself. We're in the same boat there.
ADHDM is very good. I have a great appreciation for it.
ADHDM. It's like rhythmically I've got it down, but understandably some people don't. That's okay.
The rest of the world is struggling. That's why I've got a Dragon's Horde D&D is ADHD and D, which is my homebrew stuff. So we're all neurodivergent here, as is the way on YouTube. Certainly the D&D space.
Yeah, you don't really end up making stuff like this if you're
normal,
suited for regular living and work.
Yeah, if you find out if someone you love has a YouTube channel about D&D, it's a cry for help.
Ask your doctor about a diagnosis today. You may be a content creator.
And I'll just be like, yeah, that's it. He's got the neurospicy. It's too late. Oh, again? This has gone so far off track so quickly. It's very impressive. Anyway, cast your mind back many years. Why did you decide to start a YouTube channel?
Let's see. I wanted to yap. And I realized, so I've always been the kind of person who has, excuse me, maybe I should keep that kind of vocal fry and just like, why does he sound so mysterious? I've always had so many projects going in tandem that didn't really add up to anything. And for a while, like a lot of people, that all went into D&D or whatever role-playing game. I try to be algorithm friendly, so I say D&D to refer to all of them, but I promise your favorite role-playing game is cool too, whoever you are out there. Unless it's GURPS, in which case I will publicly wrestle you on top of the Empire State Building for role-playing game dominance. Okay. The having containers for the things that inspire me, because whenever I want to make something because I'm inspired, like I go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? That was a movie that hit me in a major way, and I'm like, I got to do something about this. The Skyler that would go be like, all these feelings have to go into something, and I'd write a story, or I'd make a D&D campaign, or I would draw a picture, which I'm not particularly good at, but I really enjoy drawing, illustrating, painting. Just all of these things, and then there would be these things out there, and there wouldn't really be any cumulative result. Whereas with YouTube, I realized, I can tell that this person really likes Hideaki Anno and Satoshi Kon, and also John Carpenter, and just identifying these influences that people are pouring into YouTube, because it's like this bottomless container for the things that make you feel like yourself, and you can just keep stuffing more stuff into it, and there's not really a point at which it's like it overflows because it's too saturated. Whereas in D&D, and I did actually talk about this on Jacob's last video, there does come a point when it's like you're going to give people whiplash because you're really great. It's going to be like the Fast and Furious movies, but not in a fun way, where it's like it's going to start out as this really grounded sort of crime drama about an undercover cop, and then later on it's like we really have to take the Pontiac Fiero into space. Except in my case, it was happening immediately. So it's like, unfortunately for you all, the live action new Mortal Kombat movie came out, and I really want to explore how that makes me feel. So here we go. Sorry about your Call of Cthulhu campaign. It's now Mortal Kombat, which that you could substitute any example from my life of something that I've really been like, my whole personality is about this now. It's got to be about Elden Ring. It's got to be about whatever. YouTube lets me do that because each thing is kind of its own container. You can have a video that's not like your other videos, and the worst thing that happens is not a lot of people watch it, and I can handle that.
I respect it. It is. Do you find it frustrating that some topics will trend better than others on your channel?
Sure, but it's also like, I talk with Deficient a lot about this, where we worked really hard on the Pirate Board review for a Kraken Week. And that's probably still, outside of maybe D&D, but actually Monopoly Part 1, that's probably our favorite video collectively that we've made together. And it tanked. It's at a certain point, like the effort that you put into something has to be worth the output if that's why you're making it. So for me, I tend to have, and it didn't have D&D in the title is the thing. And it wasn't about like, there's certain, you'll find that like topics that are adversarial between player and dungeon master tend to do pretty well. And topics that are strictly D&D centric tend to do pretty well because those two things are very attractive to the biggest number of people. That's not, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's a thing about the world. It's like gravity. Like things are going to tend toward these big, heavy masses. But I also don't think that that's a reason to avoid making things for their own sake that make me really happy. For instance, I'm cooking up what is essentially a tribute to Kamen Rider and Super Sentai and pencils and analog television. And I don't know that there's a D&D audience for that, but I'm not going to make a second channel for it. And like people close to me know what I'm talking about, and they've seen all the cosplay props that I've made. And but I do think that there are sickos out there like me who it's going to resonate with 100%, and they're going to be like, this is now a part of my core personality. So I'm making it for them, and I'm making it for me, even if it's not a 100,000 view video, but like a 612 view video. You know what I mean? Like a part of me obviously would be devastated. And often when I pour a lot of myself into something and put it out there, and it just doesn't seem to resonate, like there's an unavoidable level of a sense of rejection.
Yeah. And
that folks familiar with ADHD terminology, or if you've spoken with like a psychiatrist or psychologist about the experience of ADHD or often autism, can include this as well. Rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. You can even make up reasons to feel rejected. You don't need any. So skillfully navigating that feeling is actually the hardest part of making stuff that I know is not going to do super well. And also, sometimes you make something that you don't think is going to do super well, and for whatever reason, it's the most popular thing you've ever made.
Yep.
Who knows?
YouTube.
Do
you ever actively seek out things that you think will do well when it comes to making videos, or do you just follow your, I was going to say heart, but like hyperfocus might be the correct thing here?
So, what's kind of silly is that the two most popular videos that I've made on my channel, far and away, that were like strictly sponsored content. Like it wasn't just like there's a sponsor in this video. It's I made this whole video because a sponsor reached out to me, and there was an overlap of like, this is also a video I was planning to make, or it's something that really resonates with me, like the start playing video. I actually burned out on online D&D because I ran West Marches during like quarantine lockdown.
Yeah.
and I ran too much D&D for too many people, and I was open to too many people, and it just like encroached on all the parts of my life that I did not want it to encroach on. And so I had a lot to say about online D&D, and it really was kind of like a vulnerable risk I was taking to do this with Start Playing. And so if I feel like something is actually going to come from a vulnerable place, like talking about how my great grandma died in the Ghibli video, which was sponsored by Homie and the Dude's Wandering Tavern.
Yeah.
If I feel like I can speak from a really real place, because I think that I do have the skill of speaking authentically, without being cynical or without covering up my emotional reactions to things. Thanks, therapy. And it's overlapping with, here's something, for lack of a better word, like to sell.
Yeah.
I know that those videos are going to do pretty well because the sponsor is effectively giving me context to wrap these things around a framework so that I'm not just extemporaneously ranting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of reining it in and pointing it in a direction.
No, I do see, like, you know, some of my friends and peers, Ginny D, Bob World Builder, some of the D&D RPG horror story folks like Crow's Perch and Crit Crab. I'll see topics like circulating around there, and they're so fast that I'm not like, I have to make that thing too now, because anytime I do that, I regret it. Just because working on that kind of a quick turnaround on my own stuff is very draining. But there are topics that I will develop because I see, you know, Ginny D is talking about making NPCs more interesting in this way, and then Bob World Builder says something pretty similar. What I won't really feel like engaging with, unless I have a lot to say about it, is like, you're never gonna believe what Wizards of the Coast did. But I also understand making those videos and striking while the iron is hot. It's just not something that I end up having the time or space to do, because usually I'm editing someone else's video about that thing instead. I'm like, I don't have anything left to say about that after this.
Let's use that as a useful segue into how you got into. We love a useful segue, much better than an unuseful one. Into how you started editing other YouTubers.
So I've done a little bit of freelance editing work sort of locally, none of which translated into D&D Tube, but I did translate into experience.
Yeah.
So started doing more and more interesting things on my own videos, and then Deficient Master commented on one of my videos. I think do you run D&D like a director, the cinematic thumbnail, that was one that I like poured a lot into and didn't do super well. But it's like your editing is on point and your filmmaking is an inspiration. Keep the faith. And I was like, oh, cool. I had enjoyed a lot of his videos at the time, and we didn't really talk after that. We just started like showing up in each other's comments, you know.
Yep.
And then during, it was before Kraken Week. Val, Corkboards and Curiosities, who is a dear friend, was like, I'm in this server with a lot of the RPG horror story folks and a lot of the other D&D tubers like Legal Kimchi and folks like that. And do you want to see if I can get you in? And I was like, yeah, sure. And after that, I was talking about using DaVinci Resolve, and I'd commented on Deficient Master's videos once before. It's like, oh, you're using DaVinci Magic Mask on your hands right there, aren't you? And he was like, yes, that's the whole reason I bought it. And so he messaged me like, you use DaVinci? And I was wondering, because I use DaVinci Resolve for my videos, if you're accepting clients right now. And I was like, tell me more. And effectively, my friendship with Val led to a friendship with RB, Deficient, which has led to a friendship with a lot of people. My work with Homie and the Dude has introduced me to a lot of people. And there's some videos I've edited that will like kind of ghost editing, because it's just like topics I'm not necessarily interested in being represented on, but a lot of like word of mouth from people saying, hey, Skyler's got the chops. And then Zach at Mana Talent Agency, who had talked to Deficient and signed him, was like, are you taking clients right now? And I was like, yeah, you know, we're coming up on Christmas. What's up? And he was like, my boy Jacob, he's an editor. And I was like, okay.
Jacob?
Jacob as in? And he was like, yeah, XP level 3. And I was like, all right. Someone I've been watching for like almost a decade, you know, off and on. And now like I'm friends with Jacob, and that's like an editing badge of honor, because like those videos don't go super high like VFX or anything, or as even as like there's not as much music or visual beats as editing, say, a Deficient Master video, especially something like the But Actually games where we're composing animation from nothing. It's that regular weekly output has put my name in a lot of people's brains. And so I guess the TLDR is just being friends with people in the space and admiring their work, and really trying to put myself out there with my own editing style and sensibilities so that people know what I can offer. Because anybody can go on Fiverr or Upwork and hire like one of 45 outsourced 67% AI editors at a given agency and get like a perfectly fine video. But especially working inside of like comedy, finding the funny in an edit, I think that's really where I have the most creative satisfaction, is talking with someone a lot, getting a vibe for their sense of humor, and then just like DMing them with clips that I'm editing of them to make them laugh, and that becomes a whole video.
Yeah. Very cool. How do you see where you are now progressing? Do you want to do more YouTube? Do you want to do more editing? Do you want to try and do both?
I definitely want to do both. Like it's really relieving. I mean, granted, like I'm doing weekly videos for Jacob and then whatever else I can pick up on the side. Me and RB have edited stuff for other companies together, where it's like advertisements and things, just like without even being attached to the YouTube label. Editing for money and then like making my own videos in a more low stakes way has been awesome. If only I could create like an extra 12 hours of each day, so that I could do both of those things more often, because I was collabing with Gabriel for Dragon Week, and then that video just like didn't have time to happen because I just kept getting pulled into like editing emergencies, or my day job. I also work in IT in project management. That's like 50 hours a week. So time is the scarcest commodity. Luckily, editing is trending towards like I can do this full time and still have things like health insurance, ideally before the end of this year. So my ideal trajectory is definitely editing for my 40 to 50 hours a week on, 3 or 4 clients that are going to sustain money stuff. And then anything I get from YouTube is just like bonus. And that the position where I'm in right now, where I don't really have to worry about like I'm not going to name any names, but like some sponsors that reach out that I would just like, but there are times in my life, like during quarantine COVID stuff, when everyone was really scared about their jobs and money, that I would have like jumped at the chance to take. And now it's like, this is not something that I can authentically talk about. And I don't have to, so I can turn down things that I would have like sold a kidney, to be able to hawk on my channel before. But it's
very cool. Is that the ideal then? Like editing as your full time and then managing YouTube on the side of that?
Ideal. I mean, no matter what I do, I'm going to end up working like 80 to 120 hours a week is something that I've learned about myself. And a lot of that is going to be when I do work on my own stuff. So yeah, editing with people whose work I really care about, being the main source of my income, that's where I'm the most comfortable. It's also where I feel the most challenged.
Yeah.
And I derive a lot of emotional fulfillment and satisfaction out of it. At the end of the day, a lot of what I do editing professionally is just trying to make my friends laugh. And in such a way that, I mean, there are bits that I'll send to Jacob that never make it into a video just because it's like stupid, funny YouTube poop level of like, here's this thing I barfed out in order to, like, when you're reading a fantasy novel and there's a really unnecessary sex scene or like really unnecessary description of food, and it's like, that was definitely that writer getting themselves through this process of doing this thing. There are a lot of things like that don't make it in. Like, I'm not making sex scenes, but like the just like stupid little dopamine generators. And I'm like, so I find that very fulfilling. And then I'd love to do like, if everyone could get on the same schedule with me and I spend like 4 months of the year getting everyone ready for the rest of the year and just like going crazy on that. And then the rest of the year, like taking some dedicated time off and then making my own stuff. Like, I don't know. Did you see any of my shorts with Nywall? The Fallout Skyrim skit guy, which is not, I mean, he does a lot more than that, but that's what he's known for. So he lives in my hometown. And I've definitely got some stuff cooking down the road with him that I'm really excited about. And it's such having someone like that close to me that we can actually go hang out somewhere and do something has been like mind-blowingly helpful. So I mean, even while I'm editing right now full-time and working my full-time job, I'm always working a little bit on my own stuff. I'd love for that to open more. I think once I'm full-time editing and leaving any other kind of day job behind, even just having that extra 50 hours a week to A, sleep better, and B, work on my own stuff, that's a very desirable position for me right now.
Makes perfect sense. You said about how nice it is having someone like locally that you can hang out with. You're fairly well connected in the content creation space by virtue of what you do. Do you still feel as though it's somewhat isolating as a role?
Yes. Not as much as, so, I mean, if we're talking about when I made my first few videos and you're just like tossing stuff out into the void, it's so hard. It's like, and then the people who do comment, there's this weird thing where once your channel gets to be a certain size, even like if someone sees that you have like 1,000 subscribers, right, which is to a lot of people, that's the like, now you're a real YouTuber. And then of course, once you have 1,000 subscribers, you're like, I feel nothing. I need. And then at 10,000, you're like, no, this isn't enough. And then speaking to people who have like 100,000 or more subscribers, they're like, my growth has stopped. But so anyone out there making stuff and you're like, once I get here, everything will be better. Just make stuff for yourself and enjoy it. It's going to be so much better that way. But it was so lonely when I didn't really have peers. My friend Adrian P. Lawrence, and who is also Dungeons and Degrees podcast with Alex. We were like kind of doing stuff together, but we were also both super busy. And so really like becoming friends with Val and like kind of co-working almost sometimes, or we're just like in Discord and silently not talking to each other during a Discord call while we work on stuff. It's which is so weird. That kind of stuff just like totally changed how I was approaching what I'm doing, because I don't feel like I'm doing it alone anymore. But even like during Kraken Week, the last year's one, where you have like so many dozens and dozens of other creators who are so excited to collab and like sharing what they're making. And it's just still at the end of the day, it's you and your editing timeline, and it's you um, filming yourself. For in most people's cases, or like I'm very lucky that sometimes my wife will be able to help me. My Kraken Week video, actually, she sprayed me in the face with a water hose for a shot. That was a lot of fun. But there's something inherently very lonely, even after generating hype with a lot of other people, about turning it to your computer and editing for hours and hours. And I have a lot of time and attention for editing. Like there's not really an upper limit on that for me, outside of like I'm physically very exhausted or I need to go eat something. There's no other voices in the room for you to get feedback from. There's no other living person for you to turn to. Like, have you ever been at home with a roommate, significant other, or family member, and you're scrolling, whatever, you're going about your normal phone dominated day, and they've left for an errand or something, you don't realize it, and you turn to like show them something and they're not there, and you have only just now realized that they left, even though you just kind of remembered, and that little feeling of like, oh, this person's not here for, or even in a much greater, more dramatic sense, like kind of remembering when someone has died. And you're like, oh yeah, I can't message them about this thing. There's like microdosing on that feeling while working on things alone. Collaborating with people is a lot of, if you're watching like how to grow your channel and how I made about $200 bajillion on YouTube in 10 minutes videos, people talk about collabing as like this kind of sociopathic, like stepstone type thing. And there's always going to be some of that, and there is, like, I'm really excited to work with Jacob, and that he was just kind enough to have me on his most recent video. And that like that level of exposure is cool, but what's more cool about it is that, like, I mean, it's lonely for him to react to memes alone. Like to try to be in conversation with something, and then the only feedback that you really get is like comments. And unless you are a very specially well-adjusted kind of person, it is not the positive comments that stay with you and inform your future behaviors. Luckily, I've been farming low-level hater comments on my channel, so I'm prepared for what's in Jacob's comment section right now after this most recent video. But it's terrible to like for that to be your only social outlet is just like people that you can't help but objectify as like commenters, because there's no face, there's probably not their real name, and then like they're objectifying you in turn because you are now like a product, you put your thing out there. And I don't think that that's highly unusual, or even especially immoral. I think that's kind of a normal relationship to have. Like people don't know who I am, right? They can't claim to know me on a meaningful enough level to engage like that in comments, and I in turn can't do the same with them. So that now I'm using objectification here as just kind of the literally what's happening and not some kind of moral failure. But if that's the only like social juice that you're getting, it's so sad. And so collabing with people, even if it's just like let's try to make each other laugh, or which is almost always what it is in my case, or like hey, I've got this really dumb idea for a game. I don't want to tell you any more about it, but can I run it? And so like that's what a lot of Deficient does. And that's, I mean, if I was just a viewer watching a but actually game that I wasn't playing in, I would be like, when you watch a stream and you're like, it seems like really fun to be in that friend group. Like it is. it's so enriching and fulfilling to just like be a part of something that shares a little of your momentum and intention inside of a given space. I hope that answers your question.
It does.
Okay.
I think the body doubling in Discord thing is something I've started doing recently as well. And as somebody who's worked from home for 7 or 8 years at this point. That lack of office space, even though I don't particularly enjoy the office spaces, it is rough.
Well, yeah. I mean, have you ever worked like a restaurant job or a bar job?
Yeah.
And you like the nights where you get to work with your goofy friends, and it's like even if the shift is hell and like every single customer within a 40-mile radius decided that was the day that they were going to mess everything up.
Yep.
If you're there with your friends, you can laugh it off, or even just like kind of embrace the suck together and be like, "We're all gonna die today." Like there's something very beautiful about that, and you lose that when you make stuff alone.
Yeah.
That's why I really like collabing with Ian with Nywall. He has children, and we both have jobs, and Saturdays and Sundays are kind of my only YouTube days to like do my own stuff. So we haven't really got to hang out as often as we like. But yeah, just like having it goes like Discord body doubling.
Yep.
Editing for or with someone else, because Deficient and I edit like together. We share like timelines in DaVinci, and we use like cloud collaboration and stuff. And then like being able to make something with someone else in person, which I'm very excited about Gen Con for that reason. I just want to make stupid things with. I'm gonna be me and Deficient are gonna bunk together. So I'm just gonna show him stupid things that he promised to watch, like the Spider-Man Toei Tokusatsu, I am an emissary of hell.
Yep.
But yeah, just like really being able to clock in with your goofy coworkers and come hell or high water, enjoy being a human being alive on Earth at the same time as them. Mm-hmm. That's the pinnacle to me of making stuff.
Do you want to try to do more collaborations and stuff in your own YouTube output?
Yes. And I definitely think that that's where some of the short form stuff is going to come from. Mm-hmm. A lot of skits. Because even like, looking at like Zach the Bold, like he's having a lot more fun, it seems like making, well, in the videos where, and hey, look, I'm projecting, but, in the videos where other people are involved, like just as an editor, the vibe that I get from it is so much more like there's a lot more ease that seems to be coming from that. So like, yeah, just making skits, probably a lot with Ian. Probably gonna make a bunch of dumb stuff with Deficient during Gen Con, and yeah. More collabing where possible. It's got the same problem as D&D though, which is
scheduling.
If we're all content creators that are already playing role-playing games and have our own lives, like, hey, let's schedule another thing where our schedules have to line up. It's tough, but it's worth it. I mean, I've been fighting against time and scheduling for D&D for many years now, so I'm no stranger to that struggle.
To battling the calendar.
The true final boss of all D&D campaigns.
He is, and also with ADHD.
Yes.
And sleep. Sleep's my big one. It's rough. It's rough, but hey, we push on. We are around 24 hours at this point since you did appear on XP to level 3 as a whole face attached to a person.
Yep.
This is a very normal way to describe this.
That's how I describe myself.
Yep.
Yep. I'm a whole face attached to a person.
Yep. Yeah. That's the very normal way to describe things. How have you found the 24 hours post that with super early days? But have you seen like an uptick in your subscriber count or views or anything like that?
Haven't looked. Yeah. In the hours or days surrounding me making something, I can get really in the weeds about like data and like, perhaps I should change this thumbnail on this thing on my own stuff, or like I've removed this word from the title, where I'm putting in like 50% more work or 50% more mental effort on analysis and getting like maybe a 1 or 2% yield. It doesn't really matter. The kind of things that people obsess over because they want control over how other people are going to respond to what they're putting out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really have that. So what I've noticed is that every time I slip into the comments and YouTube Studio, because I have like editor permissions on the channel, I get to practice all the tools that I've learned in therapy.
Shout out to therapy.
And some of them are awesome. Like there are some comments that I really try to remember. Like, well, my favorite has nothing to do with me, because Jacob on the back and the couch had like the wizard thing, like the beard and the hat and the robe, and somebody was like, do you think that the wizard beard talks to Jacob like Green Goblin's mask? That's awesome. So just hope the next time the wizard appears is Jacob's on sabbatical, honey. But yeah, I mean, so to me, like that felt really no different than just being on a call with Jacob and talking about stupid late into the night. I was kind of like running his channel during the baby month. So having like, I know what a lot of his comments are like. I'm kind of used to that. If you cast a wide enough net, the more people that comment, that's still like a vast minority of viewers who are commenting. And it's way more likely that someone is going to comment when they feel the need to correct or address something that they don't like than when they like or highlight something.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the last 24 hours have been dipping into comments and then kind of taking a psychic shower after that to like cleanse myself of what I've just done.
Very fair. When is there a timeline for when your next video is coming out? I respect it.
Well, so I've got a lot of different videos I'm cooking. Ideally before the end of May, I'll have something that I've been looking forward to making for a long time, and I'm about 60% of the way through. But a lot of it will be dependent on weather and if I can arrange for people to help shoot certain things. But I'm editing a Dungeon Delve episode right now for Arcane Arcade. So that is going to be all systems go on that until that's done. And then after that, I should have a big push on my own stuff. But no, I don't really have a schedule for my next video. I just do know that another one's going to come out, and then another one after that, and another one after that. Yeah. So I know I'm not going to abandon the channel.
Very cool. Is there anything specific you'd like to plug?
Yeah, but it's not mine.
That's fine.
Ambattii, Ambattii.
Yep.
Her channel, she's just going over a lot of like animation, anime, culture. There was a Fanime video recently that was pretty awesome, and I'm just like going through her whole back catalog. She's worked on animation for a lot of really cool shows, so she's actually in the industry, and that's just been kind of my like latest awesome YouTube channel find. So, and I think that more good things will be out in the world if more people watch her channel.
Very, very cool. Thank you so much for finding time for this. I know that you're preposterously busy. We're going to wave awkwardly at the camera, and then that's that. So
very well.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Bye-bye.